All right, we're going live. It's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to work. It's working. Yes. Hello, TFWR. What's up, man? Obviously, Jake Campbell must be a coaching legend because I've been getting lit up ever since we knew he was coming on. So that's an awesome thing. We've got him here. He's the Tampa Prep assistant coach. He's also the head coach at is it called the Tampa Bay Brawlers?
Yep, Tampa Bay Brawlers. Yes, sir.
He's coached over 25 state finalists, 15 state champions. I'm going off the top of my head here, guys, so correct me if I'm wrong. 4-time Fargo champ that he's coached, and numerous of other things. He's been to Disney. He's done all that. He's a great coach in our sport, a great club in our state, and he's here, man. He wants to talk a little bit about the importance of allowing Florida schools to travel. And obviously that is a hot topic right now with teams deciding to go other ways so they can not be restricted. So he's going to touch on the importance of traveling out of state when able and seeking the best competition, growing Florida wrestling, and, just establish great relationships within the sport. So here we are, and we are live with Coach Campbell. How are you, sir? How is everything?
I'm doing good. Appreciate you having me on. And appreciate all the stuff you're doing, man. This is good stuff. Giving us some wrestling content when we're not getting a whole lot of it. So it's good stuff. I try to, as much as I can, to try to catch in and listen to just about everybody. So no, you're doing awesome, man. I know I appreciate it. I'm sure tons of others do as well.
Yeah, and I tell people that I was in I was in the car business 20 years, and I always kind of wanted to do a platform there when social media was picking up, and I just never had the time. And then I got into real estate over the last couple of years, and I said I'm going to do it, and never did it. And then I got locked up. Not locked up in jail, guys, just in my house. And I said, you know what? I was watching some wrestling stuff, and I said, I want to start a little show. I started doing some real estate stuff. I got a hold of NATO for my first show. And then Ricky said, why don't you do it in the wrestling room? I said, okay. And I really just wanted to make it a place where every show I watch is a prior wrestler that has the show, is a prior athlete that has the show, pro athlete or somebody that has a horse in the race, or somebody with an agenda or whatever. And yeah, I think I have an agenda, and that's just to make people get to meet how many amazing people have been created through the wrestling community. And I've been blessed to, it's great to get, Yanni on or whatever, Spencer Lee, whatever big names, strip mat or whatever. But it's also great to get everyone else on, all the local coaches, all the local wrestlers. A big thing is the colleges around the country, with the NAIAs and the clubs. People don't get to meet those coaches. So I just kind of said, man, it's been a great life for me over the last couple of years to get to be in this family. And here we go. And then the wrestling community has just, I can't explain it. I mean, I get text messages and private messages, and it's insane how many people reach out and they're like, hey, contact this guy. He'd be great. We want to hear from this guy. And they're giving me his cell phone numbers and everything. So I'm like, man, it's been just awesome. So I'm glad that people are enjoying it and listening to it. And I hope they enjoy a perspective from someone who is just a fan and a parent learning from you guys.
Hey, man, that's what it's all about. I mean, most of the guys you have on here are just huge wrestling fans and junkies, man. So it's that's me in a nutshell. I'm a huge fan. You're being a sponge, just learning it because you got involved because your son's involved, and just trying to learn as much. And almost every good coach would probably tell you that that's the same thing we do. We just try to learn as much as we possibly can because it only helps you. So
it's been awesome. So first, before we get into all that other stuff, I'm guessing the Brawlers haven't been open. I'm guessing prep's been closed. I'm guessing you've been having your kids jump on some virtual stuff, maybe with you or maybe with Connor Beebe with I know there's a wrestling room that Shane McCall had sent me that's doing some live stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're like everybody else, you know, we're kind of taking this a day at a time. I know with I'm very fortunate to coach with Andy Bricker, who is about as detailed as they come when it comes to plans and stuff. So I know he's got workouts pretty much through the summer, because we don't know how long this is going to last. But that he has sent out to our kids at Tampa Prep, and some that I've been in contact with through the club. But yeah, I mean, and then I have kids that, you know, work with me, work with Dee, you know, they're on that stuff too. And so that's the biggest thing, is just, you know, we're all just trying to figure things out. And what I tell our guys is, you know, the biggest thing you do is just, you know, take care of school first as we wrap up the school year. And then, you know, you can always get a run in, you can always do push-ups, you can always do sit-ups. Those are things you don't need any equipment to at least get some work in, and you know, just try to stay in as best shape as you possibly can.
That's awesome. And first of all, where did you wrestle?
So listen, I'm from Ocala. I'm a Florida boy. I'm a Florida born and raised, and so I grew up in Ocala, wrestled at Westport. I didn't have the wrestling career that I wanted nor thought I would have. You know, I beat some good kids, things like that, but I didn't go to college to wrestle. I was very fortunate. You know, I just had some things I went through as a wrestler that you look back and you kind of why me it, or you, as you're going through it, you kind of why me it. But I was very fortunate that my head coach, after I got done wrestling my senior year of high school, was just, he thought I had more to give to the sport. And so as a 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid, which my old coach was Brian Newbold, who, you know, is from Ocala and wrestled at UNC Pembroke. He's like, you're not done with the sport yet. I know you, because I kind of hated wrestling. I was one of those that, you know, you've had Kevin Nordstroms and some of these guys on who are good friends of mine. Everyone, I think, you know, you might go through a period where, especially if you think things didn't work out the way you thought they were going to, or pan out. And my coach was just kind of put his arm around me. It was like, hey, you need to get back in the room. And, you know, he thought I would be a good coach. At 18, I honestly didn't think I'd still be doing it at 33. I kind of didn't know. It was just kind of something to hang around the wrestling room. I enjoyed being there when I was a wrestler myself. And then lo and behold, you know, fast forward 15 years later, I took a little bit of hiatus when I moved to Tampa, like a year, and I was just to finish school and to figure out what I wanted to do. And then I helped start the program at Strawberry Crest for a couple years, and then went to Armwood. And I mean, I had full intentions when I graduated college to be a teacher, and I was a teacher for a little bit, and then I kind of wanted to make more money, and I was one of those that got into teaching so I could coach. And then when I realized, hey, I could still coach and make a little extra money doing something else instead of teaching, I did, you know. And then awesome. And so that's kind of how that happened. And
so now you got the Brawlers, right? So you're over there, and Tampa wrestling, man, not just Tampa, but from Naples to north of you, has just seemed to blossom. I mean, I've had several of the schools and the clubs and everything on, and it's been awesome. So one thing I wanted to, Shane McCall sent a couple questions that he wanted me to ask. So you ready?
Go for it.
First one is, what advice do you have for parents about proper etiquette to be part of the process of building up Florida wrestling?
The main thing I mean, obviously being at Tampa Prep and running the club the way I have, we get what you would call, you know, wrestling parents. And so, listen, the only thing I can tell you, and it's hard, especially if you were the parent that's coached your kid, you know, maybe since he was 5 years old, and then all of a sudden he's hitting that 7th, 8th grade where you're about to let go of the reins a little bit and step back. And I always tell all of our parents, you know, just be a parent. just be a parent. If you're at a place routinely, right, whether it's my club, whether it's CFWA, where it's Danny Walker at Lake Gibson or Jim Bird at Osceola or Vic Bombacita and Duck down in South Dade, obviously you trust those guys. So just be a parent, be a parent, support your kid, because we all know that, this sport, though great, has a brutal aspect to it as well, where kids get their hearts broken and things like that. And just be the best parent you can possibly be, support them. What I told, and I was just having a conversation with our parents a couple weeks ago. We were talking about grades and things like that with one of our guys. And I just told him, I was like, listen, we're all in this together, so let me do my job. Let us do our job, and we're all in it together. We all need to communicate a lot, and it takes a village. It takes a village to turn, great kids into great adults. And that's always been my goal. You can ask any parent that's probably walked in our room. They've heard me say it, I think the wrestling's going to take care of itself. If you're, I'm always confident in what we're doing, and I always feel the wrestling's going to take care of itself in our room. But my goal is for you to be the best student you could be, the best brother, son, friend. And that's the stuff that matters. And then the wrestling is just the icing on the cake.
Yeah, the extra stuff. So, and then the other one is, what are the academic benefits of being at a prep school?
Man, so I figured this would come up at some point, right? Because we always get the prep schools, this, that. Listen, I'm a public school kid, and I started my coaching career out of public school. The only thing I'll just speak from our behalf. It doesn't mean you can't accomplish what you want to accomplish anywhere else, and I don't want to get in trouble for recruiting or anything like that. So I just have to be careful. But the best thing about what we offer, and is just the small class size. When you can be in a class size of 15, 16 kids, I know as a soon-to-be first parent, I'm having my first kid in July. That's something that's going to be important to me, to my wife and I. And we're both public school kids, but I always think, and it doesn't mean there's great public schools, especially in Tampa. We have great public schools. Strawberry Crest is a great public school. Plant High School is a great public school. There's areas throughout the entire state that just have some great public school education. But I always feel, if given options, and if option A checks every one of your boxes and it happens to be a private school and you can do it, then why wouldn't you try to give your kid the best option? That's just how I look at it. I mean, if you have a multiple choice and you're weighing out pros and cons of everything, that's the idea. I mean, I know at Tampa Prep, it prepares you for college. That's the whole point. That's why we've had kids get full academic rides and go Ivy League and things like that. And again, it doesn't mean you can't do that at a public school. We take a lot of pride in the academic side where we're at.
That's awesome. So here's another question, not from Shane. This is just people send in questions. With the restrictions that have come down the pipe with FHA on traveling, obviously causing some things that just came public. Talk on how that is going to affect schools growing and the sport growing in not allowing, I'm not familiar 100% with the rules, you'll talk on it, but I know that it's restricting the FHSAA schools to be able to grow and be out of state. Am I correct in that?
Yeah. So basically what's, so they give people a little, I guess, background, right? So you have to get a waiver to go out of state, right? That's really what it comes down to. You got to get a waiver. Typically they allow, if you're nationally ranked like Lake Highland has been, that waiver, you can go to multiple, you'll see them at Ironman and multiple tournaments throughout the year. What we've been told, because there have been complaints of other schools and things like that the FHSA was possibly going to only limit to one out-of-state tournament outside of, you could include like a border state, which is going to Georgia, Alabama, if they have a tournament that'll let you in. And so that's the thing, so it's going to cause, hopefully, us to be a little more strategic, but it's just unfortunate. I always feel like, every time we take a couple steps forward, we find a way to take a step back too. We're taking some steps forward, some strides forward with girls wrestling, getting sanctioned and stuff like that. And then, if you have kids where, you can take them out of state and you can afford to do it. And this isn't a private school thing either. I'm at Ironman last year. Palmetto Ridge is there. Lake Gibson's there.
Yeah, and I wanted to touch on that, because forget what Lake Highland Prep is doing. Forget it. They're doing whatever they want to do, and good for them, and God bless them, right? Forget that, right? But FHSAA or whoever it is wants to see Florida. I'm guessing wants to see Florida wrestling become a powerhouse in our country. And how can you, by only wrestling the same teams and the same people in your state, how can you, by not going out of state and showing the country what we have, or competing with people on a different level? So I guess what they're trying to say is the importance of traveling out of the state. How important is it for our public schools, our private schools, our charter schools that have wrestling programs to be able to compete in other states?
I think it's very important.
Did I say that right? I kind of
no, you're good. Yeah, I think it's super important. No, listen, like you said, take Lake Highland out of it. What they're doing, that's because of the machine that Mike's built over there, and which is why they're in a position to do what they're headed towards. But if you're Lake Gibson, you're Jesuit, you're Palmetto Ridge, you're South Dade, we've seen them up at Ironman, and you're turning out kids. We just want the opportunity to go. We want that opportunity. And part of it, I think too, you have some that think it's an advantage, right? You have some people, and listen, we have a lot of great people in our sport and in our state, but we also have some people that, hey, they want to grow Florida wrestling, but they kind of only want to grow it on their terms as well. And
how do you build? How do you build great relationships throughout the sport if you're you're friends with all your local guys already. How much closer can you possibly get?
It's tough. Listen, outside of a couple here, I always say I'm very fortunate that I've done my best to learn from people who have forgotten more wrestling than I'll ever know. And so there's a reason why we go and we work out with Lake Gibson. We go over there and we work out. Danny Walker, I've known him since I wrestled, so he's a guy that I'm friends with and I've learned a lot from. And so we go there and we practice. There's a reason why, I have Kevin Nordstrom come in my room, and there's a reason why Jim Bird said, we used to have the Hines brothers in our room a lot, Malik and Jacobs and little Adias as well. It's always been important for us to make sure, that we're just maximizing what we have around us to the best of our ability. And if I could give advice to whether it's a brand new coach coming in or someone, who's been around the block, it doesn't matter. Listen, do your best to use your resources. If we're all trying to grow Florida wrestling, right, then, why not, reach out to the people. I'm not telling you, don't drive.
Right. But can this happen? Let me be like that guy, right? Since I'm doing a show, right? I might as well ask these questions, right? So what happens here, and I don't know if there's rules to this, you'll know, because not only are you a high school coach in Florida, you're also a club coach in Florida. So there's two different sets of requirements and rules. I'm sure USA Wrestling, AAU, and everything else. So what keeps me, let's say I'm the Tampa Prep coach, and I am the Tampa Brawlers coach. So what keeps me from having a in-season club team and having an in-season high school team? And my in-season club team now travels out of the state and wrestles those tournaments, and when we come home, they're back into my NC.
Yeah,
It's crazy, right? But this has to be thought of.
yeah. The only thing is if it's during the high school season, you can't, because you have to be associated to your high school, right? So I couldn't take, say Brawlers Club and take them to Ironman, right? I couldn't take a squad like that there.
But your assistant coach could, right?
Not see, no.
Okay. So
Yeah,
your
no.
clubs cannot do it, period. During
Right.
season, you have to be only with your team. You cannot take a club and go.
Correct. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, so like if we're in December and Ironman's going on or knockouts going on, right? Like if say, if say we weren't going, if Tampa Prep wasn't going to Iron or to knockout, the kid couldn't join CFWA and go to knockout, because you just can't do it. You have to be tied to your high school during your high school season.
Okay, which
Yeah,
makes sense, but I'm just thinking like a guy. It's like, okay, well,
yeah, no.
instead of having a high school team, now we'll just all create clubs like these colleges have done, and we'll go travel.
Yeah, if they ever did something like, hey, you can go and wrestle unattached or something like that, maybe that happens. But there'd be so many. I mean, you're probably opening up a box of worms that probably no one wants to handle. We're already getting, you have people getting upset, because one team could travel out and the other team can't, and what a lot of people don't know is, even at Tampa Prep, it took us fighting for 3 years with our administration to start going out of state during the high school season, so it's not like, oh, you guys are a prep school, you could do what you want. No, we had to fight for it. We were willing to work for it. We were willing to, pose the questions to our administration every single day. And
what keeps other prep schools like you from not doing what Lake Highland's doing?
I mean, sometimes, we years ago when we had a pretty good team. This was Anthony Artolona's 9th grade year. We brought up the idea to our administration, and you have to get your administration on board with it first. That's the big thing. But you also got to be smart too. I mean, for some schools, there's not a huge, like with some schools, if you only got like one kid, a lot of these 1A schools, right? Everyone's like, well, all the private schools need to be in their own division. Could you imagine that? Like, I mean, some of these schools only have like one kid, so there's no advantage for them going to natty preps where Lake Highland's going. You know what I'm saying? And so it takes years to work. You have to be able to do it. You have to have a lot of buy-in from a lot of other people outside of wrestling. I mean, and Palazzo's done a great job of building a great structure there. And those guys.
So he's earned the right.
Yeah, and hopefully, what I hope, my little post yesterday was kind of, listen, it's not bad for Florida wrestling that we have a nationally ranked team, that has a chance to win Natty Preps. Would be huge for Florida wrestling. If they win Natty Preps, that's going to be a big deal. But just being a slightly selfish person a little bit, I also feel like, hey, we're not New Jersey or PA where we have 10 teams in the top 50, so if you lose Blair to Natty Preps, you got all these other teams in Jersey that are pretty damn good. We don't have it. We have some teams that are on the rise. There's no doubt about that. But I just felt like, ask anyone, I didn't like losing kids to Blair, Tampa Prep, we lost kids to Blair. I don't like our state losing good kids, and we just lost a great team. So that's kind of from a selfish.
Do you think that, though, on the other hand, we've had a lot of Florida kids say, well, the only way I'm going to get to these big colleges is I got to go to a prep school, right? Now, is it the argument like if Florida had a Division I NCAA college, we'd keep these kids in state? Well, if Florida had a prep school like this,
that was going to
kids leaving to Blair and seminary and all them, can we keep them in the state now?
Listen, I mean,
I'm just, is it a possible?
yeah, no, yeah, no, I get the,
They're not going to Blair to get, I mean, they're going to Blair because they get the national prep, they get the national spotlight, they get the big colleges, they get the big tournament, right?
right.
So if
No,
you can do
listen,
that now with a Florida school, why wouldn't you?
yeah, no, listen, I mean, it's a fair argument. I also think that, listen, us along with South Dade and, you know, tons of other schools, they're turning out, we're turning out D1 guys regardless, you know? So, I mean, me and,
You don't want to lose a Tampa prep kid to anyone, let alone
yeah, it doesn't
somebody outside
matter.
of Florida. It
Listen,
doesn't matter who it is.
listen, I love
But
Danny
how do we keep
Walker.
those kids? Like, do you think we would have kept McGowan? Do you think
I don't know. Listen,
do you think Julian Ramirez would have stayed? Do you think?
Here's what I'll say is every situation is different. You know, when we lost a kid to Blair. I mean, hell, I was about to say, I love Danny Walker. When we lost Ashton to Lake Gibson, I wasn't particularly happy about it, you know? So, but his situation was different. There's some things going on, you know, that it was just different, but it didn't change anything. You know, it didn't change mine and Ashton's relationship, and it didn't change mine and Walker's. I think every situation is different. Yeah, you know, with, you know, if I say there's a lot of schools, public or prep schools, private schools in the state of Florida that are doing a lot of the right things, and they're doing a lot of the right things, and kids are getting exposure to where, you know, like, you know, I'll just use them because they're a public school, like Lake Gibson and South Dade. You know, they're not going to national preps, you know, so. It's not going to change anything. Those guys are still going to do what they've been doing for the last 20 years. They're still going to turn out D1 guys. And so wrestling's simple. And I think me and Kevin Nordstrom and me and Brandon Scott were talking about wrestling's simple. You work hard, you do the right things. You're at a place that is fostering your growth as a wrestler and as a person. You're going to get everything you want to get. You know, if you want to go Ivy League, you can go Ivy League. If you want to go wrestle at Iowa, like, you know, some of these South Dade kids are doing, you're going to go wrestle at Iowa, you know? And so wrestling's simple. A lot of people make it a lot harder than what it is. And the work is what matters, you know? And if you're doing the work and you're with coaches that are doing the work, you know, we wrestle year round. So we take a lot of pride in that. And, you know, we're going to go to Ironman. We're going to go to Super 32. We're going to go to we're going to go to Fargo. We're going to do everything to put you on the stage to be successful. And if you have people that are doing that, then, you know, you don't have to. But what I will say is, you know, maybe Lake Highland opens the doors for other prep schools in Florida to where, hey, if we do things the right way, we build it the right way, we can go do that too, because it is a great experience. You know, I'm not.
Well, and that's doesn't that keep the kids? You look at these forums and it's always an argument, you know, right? You
Yeah.
always hear, and you never. I think the one thing I've learned from being on this show with wrestling people is that those are not the people that hate. Those are not the people that have hard feelings. Those are not the people that, you know, like you hear things about when you're great, when you're the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Patriots, people hate you, right? They want to say that you're doing things a certain way. We've heard that about certain schools. But you know what? I've never heard that from a single coach that I've had on here. I've never heard, and as you and I did, we usually talk for 10 or 15 minutes prior to coming on here because there's things that people don't need to hear publicly. I like to ask them questions that I have personally. And I talk and ask them and love it. They love the competition. They love the people over there. They take advantage of different schools. They go to different coaches. It's a community. I think and I'm sorry, everybody out there that's going to think I'm an asshole right now, but it's parents.
Hey, man, welcome to the club.
It's parents that are like, oh, my kid can't win because they're getting this kid, or my kid can't do that, and they're making a big deal over nothing when all the same kids. Every kid in every area has the opportunity to wrestle with every kid in every area because there's clubs. So if you're worried about your kid not having the opportunity to be coached or wrestled by certain guys, put them in their clubs, and you're going to get the experience that they get. You don't have to be at Tampa Prep. You don't have to be at Lake Highland Prep. You don't have to be at Jesuit. You don't have to be there. You can still experience what they have to offer. My son wrestles at the First Academy. It's a young school, a young program. They've got two very experienced coaches in Rose and Wheel Dryer. Wheel Dryer was wrestled collegiately. Rose has been in wrestling since 1972. He coached a high school in Pennsylvania that just put him in the Hall of Fame. We only have 8 or 10 kids on it. But you know what? My son does private lessons with Coach Donnie over at CFWA during the season. I still get him that one day in the room so that he can have the ability to be around somebody else also. So it's really that parent community that is just fucking haters. I'm sorry out there, fucking haters.
Hey, and it's not parents too. There's coaches out there like that as well, that they're terrified of their kid going and training somewhere else for, 1 night a week. I mean, the biggest thing we do is listen, I'm a volunteer assistant at Tampa Prep. And the reason it being is so I can do the club stuff that I want to do. And, we don't charge kids either. And that's the thing too, is, my goal is just to help kids who want to work. If you want to work and you can't find it, we'll work with you. Whether I have 10 kids, 100 kids, or 1 kid, I mean, it doesn't matter to me. And, but there's some that they're so, I always say, whether it's parents or kids or coaches or even kids to a degree, so worried about everything else. Just worry about you, worry about what you got.
I'm a parent. You get emotional. I scream and yell at my son sometimes, or I'm watching a match and I get a little over exerted, right? But never once am I like, that fucking Tampa Prep guy, Jake Campbell, he's buying his way to the top, so go put your kid there. Go wrestle with the Brawlers. You'll get all the Jake Campbell you want.
I won't charge you a dime for it.
Call him up. Call up Jake Campbell. Call up Connor Beebe. Call up Olson over at Strawberry Crest. Call up Walker. Call up Basile. They will all, I've spoke to all of them. They will all welcome you in. Go see Palazzo. Go see Donnie. Go see Scott. They'll all welcome you. Go see Travis Cleary. They'll all welcome you.
Yeah, and that's the thing that the thing a lot of those guys all have in common. They're all successful too. They're successful at what they're doing, and it's because, I mean, not only do they have great staff, but they generally love wrestling. I mean, and the thing that we've always done, and that's the thing too, is this short-sightedness, and it's something that we just don't worry about. I've had many people, oh, why do you have, Connor Beebe showing technique in your room? Don't you think that'll take away from you guys? No, that's going to help our guys. And it's also he's going to show it a different way. That's why I've had Kevin North. And
this is why I fell in love with wrestling over the last 2 or 3 seasons, because I have never been involved in a community. Yes. Is there the 2% of the arrogant, selfish, asshole people? Okay. But for the most part, and I know I'm going to get lit up, but I don't give a shit. This community is so awesome. No matter what head club coach you talk to, they will tell you, please bring your team here. Please bring your coaches here. Please tell us other platforms that we can get on to make our kids better. Please help us. I have not talked to a single person I've had you on, I've had Duck, I spoke to Palazzo on the phone. I've had the top coaches in our state on. I haven't gotten Balmaceda yet, but I've had a lot of great coaches, and not a single one of them have said to me, no, I don't want your kid in my room. No, I don't want to help these kids get better.
It's not even that, man. I mean, it just doesn't matter. I mean, these are like, dude, we've trained with, I mean, I've had kids train in our club that, and Charbonneau and can probably attest to this, right? So we had kids training in our club, and his son was one of them, and we had Jacob Conrad as well. And I go, listen, there's a little bit, just a slight hesitance of working out together. I go, you guys are going to meet in the state finals next week. So who cares? Let's just make sure we get there. And then you guys, listen, it is what it is. And it ended up being like a double overtime 2-1 match or something like that. But like, it was something I was just like, who cares, man? Let's just, at the time, I was like, you both have goals of wrestling in college and things like that. And Jacob, was at Gardner Webb this past year. And I was just like, listen, let's just get better. And if you guys happen to wrestle each other in the state finals, then you did your job, and may the best man win. Don't not wrestle each other. And the credit to them, they had a great workout in that night, So it's like, you can't worry about that stuff. I mean, listen, things are going to work out the way they're going to work out, and if you're constantly looking over your shoulder or worried about things that shouldn't matter, just worry about you. Worry about one of the best things I ever learned as a young coach. I used to go over the caveman a little bit, and Coach Joyce used to say this to the little kids, just be your best. Whatever your best is, just be it, and it's something that I've always kind of leaned on, and I tell kids I stole it from him. So if he's listening, I stole that from you. And and that's why I tell our guys, just be the best version of you can be. And and let's just see what happens. If your best, kids are built differently, athletic, stuff like that. If your best is just making it to state, then let's do it. And if your best is being a 3 or 4 time state champ, then let's do it. Let's give ourselves the best shot to do that stuff. And
I mean, I can't believe it sometimes. You've been at the state room. I mean, the first year I ever went to states was Daniel at the end of his 7th grade, and we went to the final day. And I swear I thought a rumble was going to start in the stands. Like, people were just insane. And I was like, wow, I can't believe this is going on.
Don't be that parent.
Yes. Throwing stuff at the ref. They're running up the stairs, yelling at the ref. And I'm like, wow, this is incredible. I mean, we all see calls against our kids that you think maybe shouldn't have happened or could have went a different way, but the milk is spilled. Like, I can't put it back in the cup. It's done. Like, you can't make a call. If we went back and we looked at every match last year and every match that had a bad call, we called everybody back to the mat. I mean, shit, what are we doing?
Yeah, listen, I mean, I tell you what, I mean, I know some of the kids I've coached over the years, some of the best things that have happened to us. Listen, I'm competitive. I very rarely find silver linings and losing. So
you've had calls go your way, right?
I've had calls go our way. I've had calls not go our way, and all you can do is learn and move on. I mean, when we had Anthony Artolona, and when he didn't win the state title his sophomore year, he won as an 8th grader and 9th grader, and everyone, and I told him, I go, he lost to Jake Brindley. Go figure, they're both in EIWA, one's at Cornell, one's at Penn now, So it's like when you go back and you look at it, it's not that big a deal. But I didn't think a call should have been called, and it is what it is. And we let it beat us up for about a week, and I said, listen, man, let's go get what we need to get, and let's learn from it, and let's just get a lot better. And then from there, we went on to win Fargo again, and then goes through, wins states, and then wins NHSCAs, and then wins Fargo again after that, and so it was like the best thing, because it made us better coaches, because we had to look at what we were doing, and we're like, hey, we have this kid who's obviously very elite, and it wasn't enough, so let's figure out ways to get better and get better in a hurry.
Well,
and
also, one of the things I'm doing is I got with Cipriano, and I started this Ask the Ref thing on Fridays. So you probably saw him last week on, and we talked.
I like that bum over us.
And we're going to continue to do that. And I think it can help a lot. Like right now, there's not much out there, right? So we're not going to get too much friction. But like I had a video from Daniel's regional match. And when I came off the mat, there was some coaches around that said, "Hey, that call should have went this way or that way, right?" And if it went the way that everybody told me it should have went, Daniel would have won, and it wouldn't have gone to overtime instead of lost, right? Well, then it went into overtime, whatever. He lost in overtime, but because I got to meet Cipriano, I was like, "Hey, I don't understand what people were telling me. Can I send you the match?" And I sent him the match, and he said, "No, the right call was made. He shouldn't have gotten it." And I said, "Can you explain to me why? Because everybody's telling me that he should have, right?" And he said,
Right.
"Well, there wasn't a 2 count. He didn't have him in a." So what they said is that Daniel got out, turned, got 3, which tied the match. Then he had like when you have your leg around the leg and your leg around the arm, and they thought he should have got back points too,
Hmm.
but I guess he didn't have it for long enough, according to Sips, before the bell rang, and that's why the ref didn't give him those 2. If he would have got those 2, he would have won the match, right? So I'm like, okay, great. What does all that mean, right? So I'm learning, right? So I sent the video to him, and he broke it down for me and spoke to me about it. So and I learned, and then I went on to, as a parent now, getting to talk to these people. I went on to is it NFHS? NFHS?
NFS. Yeah. Yeah. NFHS. Yeah.
They are offering the
National Service. Yeah.
officiating course for free right now, right?
Right.
So I went on there and I did it. I took the course and I learned so much. And I don't want to be a ref. I have no desire to be a ref ever in my life. However, taking Cipriano's advice that parents should get smarter on the rules, and it will make life easier for the parent and for the refs.
Yeah.
I did it,
I,
and it was pretty cool. I learned some cool hand signals. No, I know the basics from watching my son. I know the basics, but I got to understand more things. Like I don't know why my son got called for stalling 3 times when he was setting up, and then I learned by watching this video that your foot can't break the plane of the back foot, and your other knee has to be off the back, or however. And I was like, oh well, shit, I didn't know that. I just he looked like everyone else looked when they were getting down on the floor. But what the ref looks for, the ref looks for those things. So
yeah.
I,
Listen, I mean, I agree. I mean, Sip could probably tell you, I ask him questions at the state tournament. Anytime he's around, Wilbert Johnson, I've shot him texts, want a better understanding of how, not even how, it's not just a rule, but how it's going to be implied as well, and if you're not doing that, you're wrong, and I mean, Steve Wirtz is another great ref that I've used as a resource as well. Joe
I just want to create something where people can send me a match. You know that
Yeah.
every Friday, right now we're not in season, or we're not in wrestling at all. So Sips can come on Friday. Once wrestling starts, he's going to let me know what day change it to. And I don't typically do these on the weekend. However, if it's a Saturday after a tournament or whatever, I don't have a problem. But I want people in the room to be able to say, man, I'm pissed about that call, or that I'm mad. That match shouldn't have happened that way. Send us the video. I can share my screen with Sips. I can play the video live with him. A few things. Sometimes he's not going to agree with you as the parent
Or the coach.
And sometimes he's going to make the ref that made the bad call better. But sometimes the ref made the right call. And so we're going to be able to see that. I just think people will get smarter. I mean, I know that people are hard.
Listen,
I don't care what anyone says. Me, it shouldn't have been that way. Okay, well.
Listen, he explained stuff really well. I mean, he could probably tell you the story. It was a couple years ago. He called like fleeing the mat on one of our guys or something, and I argued. I argued at the time, and then later because he and I have a great relationship. He comes up to me. He's like, Jake, I just want to explain. I know you're here. I go, nah, man, you're right. I was just trying to see if I can win the call. I was like, you don't have to explain anything to me. I was like, we're all good. I was just like, I got to fight for my kid. It was a 1-point match, and And I was just like, I just have to fight for my kid. He's like, oh, all right. And I was like, all right.
What as somebody said last week? Tell the story about when you called locked hands on the kid with no arm. And he was like, I didn't call locked hands. He grabbed his nub around the neck and he locked in a thing. He's like, it wasn't locked hands. So it was funny, man.
Now,
Hey, man.
listen, I'm interested in seeing some of that stuff too. Now he's good. It'll help educate. And listen, I tell people all the time, you know, you got to educate yourself on the sport, whether if it's a parent, a coach, you know, it's okay not knowing. Like, it's okay not knowing. It's not okay not doing anything about it, or like not trying to educate yourself. I mean, listen, I'm not comfortable, you know, coaching Greco. So I bring in Ross Bruno to do all the Greco for us. You know, like Kevin Orcham's got the nastiest knee pull on the planet. I bring him in to show it. You know, Connor Beebe's amazing, you know, and the same thing with repping as well, you know.
Kevin said the kids are challenging him and they're not liking what happens. He still has it.
Oh yeah. Now he could tell you too, right? So we've been pretty fortunate, you know, especially over the last couple of years, like our Tampa Prep, or, you know, it's kind of become a little hub for all the college kids coming home, right? They come home. And so I shoot Kevin a text and I shoot Connor Beebe a text, you know, and I'm like, hey, Anthony's home or Keyshawn Clark's home. And, you know, these guys are in prime shape, you know, they're not drinking. They're not, you know, these guys are getting ready. And in this case, they're getting ready for Midlands. And so we, you know, I set, you know, Kevin and Artelona up this year. And Kevin finishes, he goes, I don't know how many more of those I got in me with him. You know, it's kind of getting to that point. I go, welcome to the club, man. I go, I did that with him for 5.5, 6 years. I was like,
yeah, it blows my mind though. How about 2 of the five timers come from the same house? That's insane.
Yeah. Listen, those guys are great, man. I mean, Kevin
Kyle's
and I
come on. I sent Kyle a link, so I'm gonna have him on.
Yeah, listen, even though I hung out, I was talking to Kevin last night, but he and I hung out last week, and I think he's coming over for the fight on Saturday. And I was telling, you know, he and I become really good friends just because, you know, we both have an open mind towards the sport of wrestling. I mean, I listen to all of his podcasts with you, and, you know, he's talking about, you know, life outside of the sport, you know, and which I think is super important as well. And it's one of the things, you know, you don't want to be, that's why I tell our guys.
Yeah, and I think he had to come on, and I'm excited. I hope he comes on with his brother, because I think he needs to talk a little bit more about his passion for wrestling. If you're listening, Kevin, because he never once, and I tried to reiterate that, and I kept saying that in the interview. He never once, guys, said that he's against wrestling. He never once said that don't wrestle. He never once said don't have goals to be an Olympic champ. All he said was understand that you have to have another track when you get into college.
Yeah.
To work it as well, because things can go south quick. And if you don't have that, you're going to be in trouble. But
listen, you got to have a plan, man. And that guy, I mean, he and I talk, you know, whether it's life, houses, whatever the case may be. I mean, that's a planning guy right there. So no,
I'm going to hit you with the,
oh yeah, you got to keep going, right?
Yeah, man, it's 5:04. I want to stay talking to you. I know I've accepted one at 5:30 with Pat, because he
the Lizard King.
Yeah, he messaged me yesterday and he had an emergency, so he couldn't come on. And I messaged him back, and I think it'll be pretty cool having him on. But I do kind of like want to go get like a glass of water or something before he comes.
Go for it, man. Get water.
Let's do this again, Jake, man, for sure. Okay. And another thing is, when this is all said and done, I'm going to go down to St. Pete to see my sister-in-law and brother-in-law, and they have a brewery down there, St. Pete Brewing.
Oh, I've been there, man. I like their orange wheat. I've been there.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right,
yeah.
I usually have their hat on.
Me and Kevin will meet you there, and BB, and we'll grab some beers.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit all you guys up once we get out on the other side. And cool, man. Well, so listen, you're down by 3. It's the third period. You have choice: top, bottom, or neutral.
I'm a top guy, man. You know, I mean, we're known for our tilts at Tampa Prep, man. So I'm a top guy. Let's get on top and let's work.
Folk or free?
I like to coach folk. I like to watch freestyle. Does that make you know?
Headgear or no headgear?
No headgear.
There's one day available for you to train. Do you go to a rumble or a clinic?
Honestly, I try to find a small group of good wrestling. You know, like if I can get a one-on-one in right before a tournament or something like that.
Like
I'd
a
rather
little,
that.
like a baby rumble, right?
Yeah.
Who wins the rematch, Loudon or Brian?
Oh shoot, man, for sure.
Which title holds more prestige, the 32 or the Fargo?
Oh man, listen, I'm a little biased because we haven't won a Super 32 title with anyone, but we've had Anthony win 4 Fargo titles. But here's what I'll say real quick on it is I feel like Fargo is more of a grind because you're in Fargo, North Dakota for like 9 days. So I just think the mental of getting up over and over and over and over again, it's tough to do. And you're in Fargo, North Dakota.
I think DeAugustino was on before you, and he said that if your goal is the Olympics, then go to Fargo. If that's not your goal, then go to Super 32.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're both meat grinders, man. They're both meat grinders. So,
Pat Ortiz, Jake the Snake. Hey, Pat, man, everybody keeps asking you to come on and bring them Heinz boys, bring a Dias, and you still haven't come on, man. Hit me up, Pat.
That's my dude, man. I love that guy. Love that guy. Hey, he's a Miami fan too. We're you guys, man.
Oh, yeah, you saw my tattoo, right?
No, I've seen you. That's an awesome tattoo. I like that.
It's
with the gator, with Albert. Oh, I like that, man.
He's smashing the gator's neck.
Oh, is that the spear in his hand too?
Yep, chopping.
I like that, man. I like that.
Come on, Pat. So, what's more dominant? This is for Steve Hall. His question: what's more dominant, pin or tech?
Listen, I mean, if you text somebody, I'm a tech pin. Do them both. Why not, right?
Steve Hall's gonna message tech. Love the you, Pat. All right, Chick-fil-A or Popeyes?
Chick-fil-A, God's chicken, man, for sure.
God's chicken. Nuggets or tenders?
From Chick-fil-A, nuggets all day, twice on Sunday if they were.
But in general, nuggets or tenders?
Man, probably nuggets. I guess I don't. Publix tenders though. Publix tenders are.
Publix anything chicken.
Yeah.
I wish I could just have the skin off their chicken.
Man, it takes
a fat guy thing.
No. Listen, if you're gonna do it, you might as well do it right, you know. So.
Yeah. All right, here's a big one: Whopper or Big Mac?
I'm not a fan of either, man. I'm just being 100% honest.
So what are your 2 favorite fast food joints?
I'm a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich guy, you know.
So would you go Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich or Wendy's chicken sandwich?
Oh, Chick-fil-A. I haven't had like a Wendy's or Burger King in like 3 or 4 years, probably.
McDonald's fries or Burger King's onion rings?
I haven't even had their onion rings. Couldn't tell you.
Waffle fries or McDonald's fries?
I'm a big fan of the waffle fries, man. Big fan.
Did you see Omi yesterday?
No, I missed it. I was working. I love that guy, man. He can tell you. I was asking
these questions. He's like, I don't eat that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I got this. Beefsteak con papa frita or arroz con pollo? He's like, arroz con pollo all day. I'm like, all right, so now we're speaking your language, right?
Yeah.
Like,
that guy's super lean too.
Pat Ortiz says wings or burger?
I'm gonna go burger, man. I'm a big burger fan. We got this place in Tampa called Burger Culture that is just awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Hey man, thanks for the shout out to the orange wheat, man. I love it. I love that you've been there.
Yeah, listen, I'm a beer snob, man. I'm a big craft brew guy. So I have Tampa Bay Brewing literally a mile from my house.
So my brother-in-law, he graduated from the Beer Guild of whatever the hell, I don't know, some big shit, right? So he's been brewing his whole life. And then when they first moved down here, he was working at Tampa Bay. That's the one in downtown Tampa there in that little area that
Ybor?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
they have 2 locations. They got one there, and then they got one right by me.
Yeah, so he was there, and then he opened up. He met a guy that already had a beer, and that guy wanted a brewer, and it's kind of a match made in heaven. The next thing you know, they're in. But yeah, man, next time we come down, I'm hitting all you up. I'll
Yeah.
introduce you to him. You can hang out, talk beer, drink beer with us. We'll have a good time.
Yeah, listen, 100% down, 100%. You know, so it's probably by the time we're all done with this, my baby will be born, and then I'll be wanting to get out of the house at some point.
Hey, how awesome will that be? We'll all go live there drinking beers.
Hey, you know, it could get weird.
Hey, man, thanks so much. Keep in touch. I'll text
Will
you
do.
my cell, okay?
All right, sounds good. I appreciate it, Dan. Thanks for everything you're doing as well.
Appreciate you, man.
All
Hey,
right,
send
see
me
you, man.
anybody you want on. I'll get a hold of them.
Okay, we'll do. Appreciate it.